Wonderful. Welcome to Project Genesis, Sunday, March 26th, 2017. Can you post that in the fray and the SLMN and the other thing? I got bitched at by a bunch of people 2 weeks ago because they
I
didn't
don't
know the
have fray
meeting was
notice
happening.
rights. I don't have fray notice rights.
Why do you not have fray notice rights?
I don't know.
Aren't you supposed to
So
be the
that
new
makes it
Dominus?
your problem.
God damn it.
I got it.
Praise God.
I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it.
Okay. To start it off really quickly, I need to know from all of you as reps for your groups. I think we spoke last week about the tournament that I'm going to be hosting in 3 weeks now. I think it's the 16th of April, I believe. On the 16th of April, we're going to have the tournament, which is going to have at the minimum 100 USD cash prize. Once again, we're going to be using this to draw people into the SLMC from outside the SLMC on the grid, as well as potentially from outside Second Life in general. It's going to be hosted. Who just popped in? Oh, Flying, Dusty, you guys decide which rep you want to be in here.
You want to take this, Flying?
Why can't there be 2 reps?
Because for
we are one.
something,
We are cube. It's okay.
Yeah, I should probably note this for the stream. This week, due to the fact that more than 70% of groups could not bring more than one person as a representative, we have just made it a rule that we're only going to have one representative for this meeting so that the conversation is not overrun by the people who do have 2 reps available.
Oh.
Flynn, you want to take this?
Sure.
All right. Y'all motherfuckers have fun.
So, as I was saying, the tournament is going to be marketed. We're going to advertise it on billboards around the grid, as well as potentially outside the game in general. And in order to draw people in, we're using a over 100 USD cash prize. The bigger the cash prize is, the more people we're going to draw in. So in order to make that bigger, we're going to be putting vendors down in New Jersey, as well as in any army sim where you will let us put the vendor down. And basically, you can spend 1,000 linden. You can send it to the vendor, and you will get your name on the arena wall where we're going to be streaming the tournament. Or you and several people can spend 5,000 linden, and you will get a banner of medium size, which we will put on the arena wall. And you can put whatever you want on the banner.
So I could put a GIF of me showing people my ass.
Yes, you could, as long as it's within YouTube standards. If it's something that's going to get the stream taken down on YouTube, we won't put it up there. Otherwise, you can put...
So if I just censor my butthole with, like, your face, does it work out?
Yes.
So I just fucking Photoshop a picture of your face on my ass?
I am more than fine with that.
It's like, this is Project Genesis in a nutshell. It's artistic representation.
Yeah, and that's fine. I'm more than happy to take 5K Linden a pop for whoever wants to put baby dolls on Pooh Bears, on swastikas, on whatever. As long as it's YouTube appropriate, you can put whatever you want. And through that vendor, we're going to be raising the jackpot, however high it's going to be. I believe we're going to bring in at least at the very minimum 150 after the vendor's out. But the more places the vendor is, the more money we can bring in. So I was going to ask you guys, which of your groups would be willing to put that vendor down in their spawn? Arboreum. I'll just go through one by one. Actually, no. I'm gonna say this. I'll IM you afterward. Okay. Yeah. And that's so that's that. That's my marketing goal number one. My second marketing goal is I'm starting as well to draw some attention to the SLMC from outside the SLMC. I'm starting a series that I'm going to be posting up on YouTube called Drunk History of the SLMC. Some of you guys saw the start of that. I think it was on Wednesday, where I myself, Hadet, and Dark Sleeper got wasted, and we just asked him questions about where chaos came from. And
And it was awful.
it was wonderful.
It was amazing.
We're also going to make, me and Wyatt are going to make another SLMC thing called regular SLMC reviews, where we just review every group in the SLMC, including our own.
And but what was posted on the YouTube, us getting drunk and shooting the shit, is not going to be the actual video. We are currently halfway done processing the edited video, which is probably going to be maybe 20 minutes an episode. And for groups that haven't been around as long as Chaos, they probably won't be 2 episodes. But yeah, it's gonna be funny, and hopefully it was funny enough unedited, and we're gonna use that to try to draw people in. As well, I'm going to be IMing a bunch of you. I think Valkyr's already signed up. Coercion's already signed up. I think me and Croc spoke about the original creator of Silverhawk doing it. So if I haven't spoken to you, I will speak to you, and we just need to set a date for whenever you want to get fucking wasted and talk about the silly shit that you've been through. The last thing that I'm personally going to speak about as far as kind of an announcement, and it's kind of big and it's kind of controversial, is many people have spoken to me about potentially half of this group, not half of this group, but half of the SLMC hates Project Genesis because they are worried that it will become a coalition of people who stand to blockade groups that they don't like. Unfortunately, the other half of the SLMC wants a coalition that can stand against groups that harbor people who dox, copybot, etc. And I'm put in a rough place because this is something that people want, something that people want to do.
So let them do it themselves.
That's what we're trying to find
Somebody wants to make another fucking Iron Symphony where they can just blockade people for just most stupid fucking reasons. Go right ahead and see what happens.
So what we've spoken about previously is potentially originally the first thing that was spoken about in one of the first meetings, if you watch one of the first meetings, was I suggested that we have a page on the website where you could submit a claim if somebody had copybot it, doxed you, crashed your sim on purpose, that sort of thing. And we found originally that if we had that kind of system, it was going to be abused. It got abused by the people who wanted it. So we're thinking of opting to use the forum specifically. If you have a complaint about a group, because we haven't really moderated the forums thus far anyway, and they're hardly getting used. If you want to go to the Second Life it's secondlifecombat.com/forum, FORUM, and you want to make a complaint, you want to make a claim that such and such group is fucking over your real life in some manner, and you want to provide your evidence. Potentially, we could have a group. It's not going to be led by me because personally, I don't want to deal with that backlash. But
you know what I've noticed?
Go on.
You know what I've noticed? The more that we talk about doxing and the more that we fearmonger about doxing, the more doxing that happens. We're pretty much at this point just accidentally turning doxing into a meme.
Probably.
And if people pick up on that meme, they're gonna obviously do it because that's like the fucking current fad. It's just like Google boxing. Google boxing became a fad, and the secondary Lionheart missiles became a fad.
Once again, there are people who want to do this, and as I've said before, I'm not gonna chair the meeting just because I don't want to deal with all the backlash or whatever. But there are several people. I think that Croc was going to ask, like Lord Bob, or just potentially a neutral party that's no longer involved in the SLMC to chair such meetings and discuss, similar to what we did in the emergency meeting, where we discussed.
I'm here. What's up, bros?
Are you drunk?
I'm so fucked right now.
All
Kenny,
right, awesome.
I hate to say this,
This
but
is
we're only
great.
having one representative per meeting.
I'm
Well, that's
for
all
the
right though,
one-
because he's the wizard.
Hello. I mean Federation shit.
Yeah, he's for the Federation of Wizards. That's an actual group. Ask Crodius.
I actually have heard of the Federation of Wizards. Hold on a second, because I'm gonna get to that in a second. If somebody decides that they want to lead, I think it was Croc and Valix and someone from Coercion who brought it up.
Go figure.
If you want to be a part of that, if you think you can chair that meeting, if you think you know of a neutral party that would be willing to do that, please bring it up. It's not going to be Project Genesis, but if it's going to happen, I'd rather it be done by somebody who is legitimately neutral and knows what the hell they're doing.
And before King Constantine.
I'm okay with King Constantine. He's been kind of absent though. This should have
Yeah,
been said
I
at the
nominate
very. This should have been said at the very start of the meeting, but there's a new army in the SLMC, and it's really, really fucking cool. And that's the Arboreum people, currently led by Flyne and Dusty Fairport.
Excuse me, but the fucking Lego people were the best.
I agree.
Flyne is actually Lego people.
I am Cube. Fuck your Lego people.
Do you want to post your sim name or the URI for your sim real quick? And I
Sure.
can. I think we announced it in Project Genesis already. But if somebody wants to throw that up in SLMN, if somebody wants to throw that up in the fray, it's an up and coming military that has some, in my opinion, really fucking cool weapons. The base build is cool. It rebuilds itself every 5 hours or so. So it's completely different every time.
I can just tell it to rebuild itself anytime I want to.
So the base is made up of cubes and it's constantly changing, and it seems pretty fun to fight on. But yeah, you can find their sim is already up on the board, the SLMC board. But if you don't see them up on the board for whatever reason, they're out of their sim. Their sim name is, yeah, you posted it up. I'll post it up in the chat as well. And then I think that's it for my announcements. Darks, no, you wanted to talk about the Federation of Space Wizards, right, Kenny?
Yes. Hi. That's me. We are. Yeah. I need to say that we're a good group, and that we're super serious, and we need stuff.
Scotland forever.
And yeah. I'm sorry I'm late.
Great. So there is legitimately a new group that's being started up by Kenny, and I think Cadet's participating, and
No,
Crodius.
it's Brody. It's his love child. He's the archmage. He done a lot of work for it, and we have shit made. We have shit now, and it's good shit. And if you like wizards instead of guns and shit, join.
Okay.
Sounds about as good as anything I've said so far. Yep. For the sake of some of the people who are currently in here, Kenny is also going to remain because, as I had a very long discussion with him last week, the Federation of Space Wizards is legitimately a new group that's coming up and it's going to be opening soon. So they do get a place in Project Genesis, as long as people continue to raid them and they continue to raid people.
What if people just don't raid each other?
If you have your own sim and you have a group of people that you call an army, but you don't raid anyone and no one raids you, then unfortunately you are not a part of the community.
Well,
You're just some guy. Oh, and one other thing. I already spoke about Arboreum. I spoke about the Federation of Space Wizards. There's a new sim called Sodium, which is run by Has Eccentric, I believe. And Nero and Zil Flux. I forgot what his other Frost. I don't know. And they are competing with New Jesse as a neutral hub. Which is really cool. They've also said that anyone who has advertisements that they want to throw up for their group can go in there and throw up their advertisements. Just speak to one of the admins, whether it be Nero Has Eccentric or Savara V. It's called Sodium. The sim is Hellhound. I think I kind of dig this sim. Yeah, Frick Teardrop, Takura Thelt has all those people are helping out with stuff. But yeah, it's a fun sim, and they're also looking to host smaller armies for a fee. So if you know of a smaller army that's trying to make it in the SLMC, let them know. Maybe give them a spot.
Shouldn't we extend an invitation to them?
Invitation.
To
They're invited. I believe has a admin tag. Is he not?
I have a question. My tag was removed 30 seconds ago.
Your tag was changed to the Federation of Space Wizards because I'm giving you an excuse for being here.
But my admin thing was removed. Hello.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
You're in here.
Nope, it was removed.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Oh, and as an add-on to that, I am no longer the only moderator in Project Genesis. In order to keep things as fair and balanced as possible, Tyro also has all administration rights. Zil saying he wants to be the representative. So should I make it Zil or Has?
Wait, I'm an administrator, not. Wait, I'm an administrator, not just the mod. What?
Oh, you're. I mean, everybody's an admin. You're a moderator of the thing. You have.
Oh.
Yeah, you have all the.
Can I give it to
rights
someone
to-
else? Because that means
Who
I
do you
have to
wanna give it
actually pay
to?
attention to these meetings.
Yeah. Welcome to the club. That's all the announcements I had planned.
Hey Kenny, I can't read what you're saying to me because that would mean switching the stream to your chat.
Wait, I don't like. Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
hey, wait.
Fucking idiot.
So if KPC Sim hasn't been online for a while, and neither has Vox Aerons, are they still militaries?
KPC Sim has been online. Or KPC Sim is online now.
We just
Correct?
opened
It
today.
is now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it
Okay,
opened today.
unban me.
Equation just just raided us.
Unban me too, please.
Are you guys
Unban
banned?
us all.
I
Yeah,
don't
I'm
know.
banned.
I've not
What'd
even
you
been
do?
on SL in like 2 weeks. I've been playing ARM.
Haven Zero TP'd me to the sim to show me something. He showed me it, and then I got bored and dropped a Scourge of Worlds on both of us, and I guess that made him really upset for some reason.
All nice going. You got yourself banned.
It's a pretty retarded reason to ban somebody.
Obviously, the correct response is going to your sim and nuking you then.
Oh,
I'll
once
just keep
again,
intercepting KPC raids.
we said this last week, and we're gonna say this again. There was somebody who discussed having an open ban list policy, or you can discuss whatever who you've banned and why. And people wanted a way to do that. So if you would like to nobody's obligated, but if you would like to volunteer that information to kind of show some initiative, feel free to do that on the forums, which are fixed now. Also blame King Constantine. And then I think the last thing I was gonna do was Dark Sleeper. You said you wanted to talk about
I did.
we had a discussion about universal guidelines as far as the radius of grenades, how fast tanks could move, that sort of thing. Do you still want to speak about that?
Sure, I'll be serious for once. So, universal guidelines. From what I understand, everybody in this community is totally against that idea. And I don't really see why. Because universal guidelines don't really have to be as complicated as everyone thinks they are. It's really just common sense. So far, the ICAL Pact has had decent combat with one another as member groups, simply just using common sense and natural instinct. For example, all raids should start out as rifles and grenades, and maybe some other inventive shit. It should only really escalate into, full-blown autism when the situation calls for it. And by full-blown autism, I will explain that means, tanks, ships, blah, 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 blah. It's perfectly acceptable that we could all probably agree on like a set grenade radius or bomb radius. It just doesn't have to be as complex as everyone tries to make it out to be. If we can all come to an agreement on like certain basic things, such as like a cooldown on, or like how big the radius of your grenade should be, then making a universal combat guideline is fairly simple. And you can still have your own sim rules. I mean, it's perfectly fine to have your own sim rules. It's, whatever. But just because you have your own sim rules doesn't mean we can't all just agree on something for the sake of just making combat better. It's not that hard to figure out.
It's awkward when you speak and nobody else responds, right?
Hey, Haven
we're
Zero,
down.
can you get off
Welcome,
Dark's
welcome to
account?
my life.
We have been down with that from Jump Street. It actually is more simple if there's some kind of universal guidelines than trying to figure out what everybody's doing on a different sim.
Yeah.
I
mean,
It's better. It's better just to come, like, if you really want to come together on something, and if you really want to make combat better, then you obviously need to, as a quote unquote community, agree on something.
I'd love to have a universal standard so that I have some idea.
I think,
And if the only thing that you can come together to agree on is, oh, doxing and copy botting is bad, well, I don't see how that's going to make combat physically improve.
I think everybody kind of agrees with this. And I'll say something right now, Dark Sleeper, just as a funny addendum. I spoke to Hidet, right after the night of the drunk chaos, whatever. And he said, this is something I think a lot of groups have been preaching about for years. And to be honest, The only reason that we didn't push very hard for it because we thought Dark Sleeper and people like Dark Sleeper would be totally against it.
That's kind of weird.
So,
Didn't know why it would be.
so
I mean, from what I understand, the reason why it has such things hasn't been implemented yet is the same reason why LBA hasn't been implemented yet, because people only, people only like things that they invented themselves. Like
see, I'm getting excited because I feel like the conversation is actually becoming slightly productive. Is there anybody in here who does not like LBA and can say why they don't like LBA?
New things scare me.
Anyone else?
I don't hate LBA. It's just another thing I have to script for.
That's
pretty much the same
So-
for me as
So
well.
literally, the reason why people don't like
NPA?
LBA, MPA.
NPR.
This is
ADD?
what I get for working for the post office.
MP3.
The reason why people don't like LBA is just being generally lazy.
As someone
It's
who
not just that.
It's
It's
not
like,
lazy.
shit.
for
As
me,
someone who
for
shills for
instance-
LBA, I do have a point in opposition to it.
Alright.
It does require everyone to rethink how they deal AT, because everyone's AT values right now are designed around the idea of, well, during a laggy situation, only
Creepy
half your AT is
coercion.
going to do damage. Or it's going to do damage very slowly at a fixed rate. With LBA, the first instinct is, okay, I'm going to make this 75 AT rocket do 75 LBA AT, when that shouldn't be the case. But, like, if people want to make things for LBA, you should realize that you can make something do one amount of collision AT, like say 75 collision AT, and then make it do like 50 or 35 LBA AT. Like, that's not disallowed. In fact, that's what we're trying to do.
That's the thing, like, some of my new munitions, and like, for instance, one of the weapons that I use a lot, it is actually a hybrid explosive weapon and a hybrid AT weapon, which is the Titan Slayer bow, which has a secondary and tertiary charge. It does, like, the bow itself, when it's fully charged after about 10 seconds, it does like 35 standard AT, but it's also designed to do 30 hybrid LBA. And what it does, basically, it collides, and that way it only collides the first bullet, whereas the pellet for the standard AT, but the core itself does the LBA, so that way they don't, like, knock up with each other.
Right. What was I gonna say? Shit, lost my train of
Also,
thought.
the other problem is when it comes to being lazy, when you have an arsenal that has like over several, like, say about 20, 30 HE to 12, 15 AT weaponry slots, people kind of just look at it like, hell no, I'm not going to rescript all that shit to do LBA. It's kind of what some people do. It's like like, I don't mind because I only have two weapons that deal AT, but there are other scripters in our R&D group that have like 5, 6, 7, 8 weapons that are already like fully functional, and then they like, no, I'm not going to rescript the whole system just so I can do LBA.
Well, here's the thing. If it might be a lot of work, but if that's something that completely betters the community, that everyone can agree on otherwise, I absolutely am down in this one case for pressuring groups to use it.
We're
Because
doing all of our weapons on LBA version 2. All of them.
That, and with LBA, everyone's AT values are suddenly transparent. That's something to also bear in mind. Like, you know,
so that way
exactly-
there's gonna be like a big issue with a lot of the groups either banning other groups, banning other people, is the conversation that their weapons are OP, their weapons are broken, and they're intentionally broken, and they're doing this because of this. And from what I'm hearing, LBA would fix that to a degree.
Well,
Yeah.
what LBA does is LBA allows you to know when people are actively trying to creep you as opposed to just using proper weapons. I mean, the whole black box system exists for that very reason.
Oh, and speaking of the black box, because I know someone may bring it up down the line, the only two weapons I've actually seen trigger the black box are, and I'm going to name names only because like I've brought it up and they've been like, oh shit. Coercion's Typhoon grenades triggered the black box, and I don't think anyone got blacklisted, but I blacklisted myself testing it. And
Yeah. The silly thing about the Typhoon Grenade is because in that particular class that the Typhoon Grenade is, they don't actually have a designated AT weapon, like a
Yeah.
standardized AT grenade. So the stupid thing about the Typhoon is actually a mix between two separate grenades, which is the Scatter Grenade and a very null down version of the Thermite Grenade, which is
Yeah.
our designated AT grenade. The
Yeah,
problem
I'm not.
is-
It's not like I'm calling coercion out. Like I talked to
no,
Adonis
no, I
about it
actually,
as soon as I found it. And the other group that did it was AN when Sephiroth had the wrist shotgun thing. Like he immediately updated it when it triggered the black box, and that was like I was confused why it did it too. It must have just done a lot of AT very quickly. But it's really
the
hard to
thing-
trigger the black box intentionally. So
Yeah, the way we actually fixed it, our problem is, and I'll say this out loud, the problem is the Thermite rounds we still had in the Typhoon round, still had the Thermite mindset. So when it's actually like rezzed out the little Thermite, the little Typhoon round, it did what the Thermite round did, and seeked for the closest scripted object and went and did AT to it. So basically, when it launched, it just all the little bullets went for the AT. Whereas it's not supposed to. Now Adonis updated it, so they only will do AT if they actually collide with said object. They won't look for the object, they have to actually collide with the object.
oh okay.
Like the Thermite round will still seek and destroy, but you have to land it up. But Adonis nerfed that again, where you have to actually land it at least, I think it's something like 0.5 meters away from a scripted object, and I mean like not from the core, but just from the object itself to actually
Well,
detect.
we can get
AT.
lost. We can get lost in the weeds all day long, as far as the little things. But I mean, outside of that, is there any group in here that's has a specific reason other than the fact that it's going to be a lot of work to rescript some of their weapons? Is there any group in here that has a specific reason why we
Okay.
shouldn't use LBA?
PSC currently has an armory consisting of like 70% LBA and the rest is normal collision base. And the only reason why is because the only scripter that we have is Delhi, and Delhi only really does so many things. So, and
So no,
yeah.
basically.
So I've had everything else I've had to just put together with what I have, unless Sin decides to make a LBA version of his gunship scripts that I could update our gunships with. Then that this is all that I'm working with. I mean, other people have scripters who are fully capable of doing these things, and they don't. Me, in my case, I just don't really have anybody but Delhi.
So first question is everybody in here is pretty much in agreement that we're going to use LBA because it makes everything a lot better. It makes everything a lot easier.
Chaos and I proved that LBA does work because we had a 12 fleet ship fleet battle in a sim, and it barely ever lagged once.
I can't speak for our scripter, but personally, I've always been neutral with LBA. I've never had any problems with it personally when I've used it, so I generally don't have an issue.
Okay, so now that everyone is mostly in, it seems as if every group is in agreement that LBA is a good thing that we should start switching over to in order to make everything easier on everybody else and hopefully, have less issues as far as people screaming over battles and escalation, etc.
Phil and Dark Sleeper engaged productivity in Project Genesis, and nobody expected it.
My second question is, now everybody is kind of in agreement that's a good idea. My second question is, which groups need help, outside help, as far as implementing LBA in their weapons? Because I know that's an issue for some groups. If you don't feel comfortable stating it in this meeting, I'd prefer if you stated it in this meeting so we could get people to your group. So if you don't feel comfortable stating it in this meeting, please IM me so we can send somebody to you to help walk you through it, if nothing else. Croc is saying, if you want LBA to be universal, we need to have it freely available with working examples in weapon form. I thought we already had that. Is that not true?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
Dread.
there is a
what's his
dev
name
kit,
is-
but I don't.
He's saying
Oh,
there's not. He's saying there's nothing involved in it that could metaphorically hold your hand through the entire process.
Okay.
Oh,
Who helped? Who helped? I said people who need help with LBA to contact me. I'm also going to ask anybody who has experience implementing LBA to contact me if you are willing to help other groups update their weaponry and their armory.
I need to talk to Donis and Alaskan about that one. I can't speak for them.
I think Ron's in here to speak for coercion.
Yes. What is the question?
Have you been paying attention at all?
Yes,
Oh,
mostly.
okay.
Ron,
What is the question?
Ron,
Oh, God.
Oh god.
No, seriously, what's the question, Syla?
Ron, when are you gonna make Finland great again?
Is coercion going? Do you think coercion's going to be fine with implementing LBA? I thought they already did.
We already have
We
LBA
Yeah.
already
in
have
weapons.
LBA, just not in everything. It's like
Yeah, just not in everything.
25%
It's
of our weapons.
I
Well, it's not
imagine
going to
that
be. It's not going to be something that happens overnight. It's going to be a slow
I
transition. It's just the
im-
fact that it's everybody's agreeing to transition.
Syla. I don't think anybody is going to have an issue with using LBA weapons or vehicles in coercion.
The second thing that was the real thing that Dark Sleeper brought up, and the reason why I asked you to bring it up is because I don't think anyone else is in disagreement about potentially having universal guidelines. What I mean as far as that is not. I mean, there definitely needs to be, rules of escalation, potentially that people can kind of sign off on. I know people are going to break it inevitably, but at the very least that everybody can kind of look to so that there's a little bit more organization than what we currently have. But I'm talking specifically about guidelines that dictate how far damage goes on a grenade or how fast a tank goes. Does anybody have any arguments against that?
Nope.
Not personally, no.
That's a conversation that you're gonna have to have with everybody who's there, because
What do you mean?
otherwise, well, I mean, if you want to have a universal standard, you're going to have people universally agree to it. That's what I'm saying.
No, you don't. You see, the thing about that kind of standard here, it'd be a great thing for up and coming militaries that don't really know how to balance any of their gear. Like right now, I have no idea how to make how big to make my explosion.
Oh, so it's a guideline, not a standard.
Yeah, it's a guideline.
It's
Okay.
Universal guideline, yeah. If we had, let me ask this because there doesn't seem to be any verbal opposition currently. Though God knows how many people are paying attention. Who would be willing to? Who do you think would be willing to write that guideline, or do you think it should be co-written by a group of people?
Adet.
I can do it. Yeah, Dead as
Uh,
well. I actually do go with the Dead because he is
Oh,
old
well,
school
that's
and
not in
he can
Genesis,
police
so
old
pick
school.
someone else.
Oh, I can
I
do it because I still like the coercion based like ROE and explosions and stuff like it and melees. We kind of are old school. Yes, we do have some weapons that are a little bit on the ridic side, but literally all our tier weapons are literally old school regulation.
Also, let me point this out. Like, Hedette's going blind. You guys asked, like, universally agreed on a blind man to write rules for you. How cruel does that sound? You all are assholes.
He's really good at it.
He is
To
really
be-
good at it.
to be honest, that
Maybe I can
sounds like it'd be
transcribe it
more of
for him.
a. I think that would be more of a group thing than just having one person do it. That way, everybody in each
we
group has
need
an
we
input.
need to have groups come together, yes, while it is being transcribed for the sake of not having the person just throw in random shit, but
I
at the
vote
same
tyro.
time I cannot personally be the person to host that because I don't know jack shit about scripting. I wish I did, and I don't. So it needs to be somebody who understands the systems in order to have that discussion.
Here's an idea. We go with Dark's idea, right? And but we do this. Everybody writes out their standard regulation, and we just compare everybody's and put them together. Like everybody sends it to one person, like or Dark or me or someone that knows what they're doing, right? Or Adonis or whoever. right? And then they compare it and they see like what is the average, what do you think is good, and things like that. And we base our guideline off that.
It sounds like a good idea.
Because I'm all, when it comes to Dark's recommendation, I'm all for it. I really like the idea. I really do. And that kind of reminds me of old school back in the day when I was still in freaking EAF and back in Toy Soldiers. When most militaries they said you have to have a grenade that only had 5-meter diameter explosive, or your bullets only had to be so and so size, or your bullets only had to go so and so speed. Like most militaries back then, they had those points as regulations. Nowadays, they don't.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the reason why I say we go like why I say the old school thing, because I remember back in the day, Dark used to have those rules on his old sim. Toy Soldiers had it, Coercion had it, a lot of sims had it back in the day, and I would like to see that again.
Zill said specifically scatter grenades, raycasted or not, how many grenades at once, what types of reload cooldown time, balance timed proximity, non-lethal. If you want to specifically notate those specific things that should be part of the guideline so that we can bring it, because if I need to be the person who harasses everybody, who goes to the leader of, or the scripters and says, you know, hey, give your standard as far as these specific things, as long as you give me the specific things, I can harass people.
Well, if no one's gonna make a list, I can make a list of things that you can ask.
Can we all just remove gravity grenades? They're the worst things ever. It's basically gas that shoves you through walls. Like, that's exactly what it is. It's area of denial that isn't raycasted and throws people around the sim.
It can be raycasted.
I mean, it can be raycasted, but that's hard.
No, it isn't.
Most groups aren't going to do it if you say, oh, all gravity must be raycasted, no one's going to use gravity, then the one group that uses raycasted gravity is going to have an advantage when they use it.
Well, I mean, it's a community. We're not going to force anybody to work together, but if people want to work together, I'm all for that. I love Pete's response to Zill. That's reasonable. Have you been drinking? Tyro, can you please rename the video? Everybody acts reasonable and everybody else is really surprised by it. Or who knew there was a smart person under all that trolling? Project Genesis Meeting number 5.
But yeah, like with the whole like down to the main part of the topic, like I can, if somebody wants to, I can work with them, or I can do it I can do it by myself and then ask everyone else what I'm missing, what needs to be in there.
You're fine. Zill is creating Zill says he's creating a list and he's gonna send it to me. Anybody else who wants to notate specific things that they think should be have standardized or have a guideline, I mean, send it to me. Anything else?
I'm good.
Minor announcement. Since Dark doesn't want me to take photos, Omar, how are you taking Dark's slot for coming to take photos of your sim?
And okay, just to add on to what happened a second ago, I want to make a quick announcement to everybody because I think this got twisted somewhere along the way. There's been a lot of people who want to call me the quote unquote the leader of Project Genesis. And while it is true that I, for the most part, try to moderate the chat so it doesn't get out of hand, I don't want to be the only one bringing forth ideas. The reason why I started this group initially is because I wanted representatives from each group to bring their own ideas so we could have a discussion. I sure as shit don't want to be, here's what we should do, and everybody, either goes along with it or disagrees with me quietly. I want more of this. I didn't even know Dark Sleeper had these opinions about guidelines until I had a personal conversation with him. Which is to say, if you have something that you think would make the community better, don't keep it to yourself. Don't wait for someone else to say it. Please say something in a meeting. Or if nothing else,
I vote that we make Dark Sleeper Overlord of Project Genesis to
Can-
dispel the rumors of Syla
Yeah.
being the leader.
Yeah, wait. Can I say something about that? Because it's not about helping my point isn't about helping the community. My point's on your point, which was being the leader, which I think you should actually embrace more than discourage, because it brings people together. If you have the charisma to keep something together, then you should embrace being the person in charge. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're power hungry all the time, or you could be, but it could be a good power hungry, and you can
Embrace
keep
me.
people on the right track. That's why Dark Sleeper constantly has a group going, because he has a charismatic personality. He is able to gather people that enjoy his ideas
Let's
and
not
enjoy
go
his
overboard
humor
on the personality.
and push them into a direction. If you're
Shut the
gonna
fuck up,
be
Kenny.
the leader, then go for it.
Kenny,
Don't listen to Kenny. Don't listen to Kenny. I just did it so I can greet
Kenny,
people.
I appreciate your pep talk.
I want to
That's
interject
great.
one thing on the universal guidelines.
Okay.
I think it's important. I think the groups that dropped out we should extend some kind of an opportunity for them to submit something that they'd like included in universal guidelines, so that there's buy-in later, because otherwise we're going to put all this work in, and then there's going to be a couple, 2 or 3 rogue groups that say, I didn't agree to that shit, and then they're going to go, all ape shit, and then it's going to create factions. Whereas if they're included in it, it's a guideline.
So
if it's included, if they're included, then there's less pushback later.
it is just a guideline, which is to say nobody has to do it, and if they want to stand against it, that's fine. As far as the people who have pulled out of Project Genesis, the only people that have pulled out of Project Genesis are Raven Raiders. I'm not. Do Raven Raiders do they still have a sim?
Yes.
Okay. Is Raven Raiders, Alliance Navy, Takoi, which has disbanded.
Yep.
And then Chaos. But Chaos, while they are not within Project Genesis, I'm still working with people within. I mean, for fuck's sake, Tyro is recording the meetings. Like we have a voice. They're not. They help out. I listen to them. They, I won't assume that they listen to me. But
Yeah, Chaos is just
and
not
as far
interested in officially speaking.
as far as AH was another one. AH, Alliance Navy, and Raven Raiders. I think they're within the quote-unquote I-Call Pact that Dark Sleeper made. If Dark Sleeper is proposing these guidelines, if he wants to participate, I can't see that they're going to get angry about it if they have their allies, using it. But I'm saying it's not something I perceive as being an issue. Yeah, and Boo, to answer your statement, they are guidelines. We, like I've said over and over and over again, we cannot make rules. Project Genesis, believe me, I would love rules. Unfortunately, there's literally no way for me to enforce them because I do not myself have any power. I only have the power that other people volunteer unto me. So yeah, guidelines. Every group can do what they want, of course. But if we have something to look to kind of organize us and there's less shit to argue about, that would be great. Potentially we could have easier battles instead of nonstop shit posting about OP's gun.
Wow.
Is that the end of the meeting? Can we end the stream?
I mean, if you want.
Okay, thank you everybody for coming. Bye!
Fuck off.
Okay.
They're hiding the crystals.
They're hiding the crystals.